Shalom, everyone, and Shavua Tov, and welcome to our Zohar weekly consciousness study. And we're in Parashat Toldot, which is a very tough parasha to understand if you don't know Kabbalah or study the Zohar. Why? Is it because it's a very famous story? And the story is that Ele Toldot Yitzchak ben Avraham, Avraham הוליד את Yitzchak. These are the generations of Yitzchak, the son of Abraham. Okay? And then it says, Vayi Yitzchak ben 40 shana. I'm reading in the Torah, chapter 20, Bereshit, Genesis, chapter 25, verse 19. Verse 19. And this is the story of Yitzchak ben 40 shana. And Yitzchak, he like Sarah, she cannot have a child. Now the same thing, Rivka, her daughter-in-law cannot have a child. They pray. I won't cover the whole thing. And it's twins, Jacob and Esau, the most famous story of the two fighting brothers. Okay? They're not the first two fighting brothers. Cain and Abel made it earlier, but it's like a second round. So, and then it says, "Vayitotzetzu abanim bekirba," and the boys were hitting each other inside her. Okay? Until she said, like, what do I need the whole thing for? And she goes, it doesn't matter, I want to make things short. Two boys over there, each one represents another world. One is Esau, which is coming red, hairy, hunter, whatever, and his name is Esau. And after that comes his brother. I'm reading in verse 26. And his brother is holding, Jacob is holding the heel of Esau. And it says, Vayikra Shmo Yaakov, and he calls his name Yaakov. We'll come to it later. ויצחק בן 60 שנה בלדת אותם, ויגדלו הנערים, and then Isaac is 60 years old when they're being born. He's already not so young. It took about a long time till they came out. And ויגדלו הנערים, ויהי עשיו, so we know Esau was the hunter, and Jacob was the Ishtam, the person of completion. And then we know the story about Isaac, that Isaac loves Esau and Rivka loves Jacob. And when, in any story of dysfunctional family, when we know that the father loves one son and the mother loves another son, we're up for a trouble. That's going to be a trouble, and sooner or later you're going to pay for it. Okay? But our question is, are we for this issue of seeing that as a story of dysfunctional family? Okay? Or is there anything much deeper than that? So, the famous story is that day that we're talking about, verse 29, Jacob was making a stew, the most famous stew in history, the lentil stew. And Esau is coming from the field. He is very, very, very tired and hungry. So Esau says to Jacob, Halitenina, feed me with that red thing, because I'm so tired. So Jacob says, I'll feed you if you sell your birthright. Pretty awful, right? It's like, it's your brother, it's your home. When was the last time you came home? You were hungry, you opened the fridge, and then somebody said, oh no, you have to pay before that. Like, this is weird. Okay, a lot of people get very upset about Jacob. What a conniving creature is that? Your brother is tired. Your brother is hungry, and what, you're using that in order to push him to the corner. And Esau is saying, I'm going to die. Why do I need a birthright? Vayomer Yaakov Ishavali. So Jacob says, swear to me, make a vow, and he swore to him. Vayimkor et bechoroto leYaakov. He sold his birthright to Jacob. V'Yaakov natan leEsav lechem mozid adashim, verse 34. And Jacob gave Esau bread and the lentil stew. Vayochal vayesh vayakam vayelech vayivez. It's like so many verbs at once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 verses. Esau doesn't. He said, like, I didn't need this birthright in the first place. When you're really hungry, you forget about a lot of stuff, like your diet, for instance. Okay? Now, Vayira ba'aretz, So we leave it this way. And then there's a story, chapter 26, verse 1. Vayira Ba'aretz, there's famine. Oh, we've been to that movie already, right? Like, Israel is in the border between the Sahara and the cultivated world. Sometimes the Sahara is encroaching into Israel, and there's a drought. Okay? Except from that first famine that was during the time of Abraham. Remember, Abraham at that time had to go to Egypt because he could not find any food. But Isaac never left the promised land. Never, ever. Never. He goes directly to Avimelech, the king of the Philistines, and God shows to him and says, do not go to Egypt. Live in this country, dwell in this country. I will tell you, you're going to be okay. I will bless you because I give this country to you and your offspring. Okay? But now, with all of these promises that God is giving him, I will give the promises of Abraham and so on. And then Isaac sits in Gerar, which is the place in the southwest of today's Israel, not far from the Gaza area. Okay? And then we have we're coming to the same story. Who is this wife of yours? Who is this lady with you? And he says, this is my sister. He's afraid. Pagans. Who knows what kind of savage people what they can do. So Avimelech, of course, the king of the Philistines, takes Rivka to his home, to his palace. She's so beautiful. It looks like in the family they were very beautiful, these ladies. But then he realized again the same story with Pharaoh. He realized that, it's the wife of Isaac. He says, I couldn't do something like this. Take your wife back. But then Isaac looks like he's very, very successful, like his father, like his son Jacob later on, like Joseph. It's like when as we said in last week's parasha, when you know how to live a double life, to live in the spiritual world or physical world, you have the ability to inject bliss in whatever, even physical things that you do. And bliss, when it's felt, that's something that is important, and we will come back to it. I'm just covering the story. So he's getting richer and richer and richer in the area next to the Philistines, and it says, and they were envious. Why envious? It's the same country, the same land. Why can't you get the same results? So you know how it is. Some people are making success and some people are jealous about it. Instead of looking at them and saying, if he did what he did, why can't I do the same thing? Let me do the same thing to get the same results. No, jealousy is much easier. It's for free. You don't have to make effort to be jealous. But it's a very serious thing over here because we're not talking about somebody who lived sometime somewhere far, far away. We're talking about, remember, the Torah is meant for us today. So then there's a same story again with Abraham. Abraham was digging a well, they blocked it. Digging a well, they blocked it. Same story all over again. Isaac goes on with the same story till finally they give up and they make a pact with him, which means if you can't win them, join them. And their success because, maybe it will catch on me too if I get close to him. Okay? Why do we need to have this story double? And they say something very, very important. On Genesis chapter 26, verse 28, after all of these sabotage they do to him, they block the wells, they destroy his success, they push him out of the country, whatever they do, the jealousy, it was not just jealousy, it's just also putting, stumbling blocks. We saw that God is with you. And we said, let's be with you also. So, as I said, maybe it rubs in. And so, as the story is over, we're jumping now to verse 34. Remember that, because all of these details will be important for us to understand the story. Because still, I know a lot of people that whenever you mention Jacob, they get upset like it was their own relative who heard them. How did he do that to Esau? 34. ויסב בן 40 שנה, and Esau is 40 years old, ויקח אישה את יהודית בת בארי החיתי, he takes as a wife a Hittite, which means one of the local Canaanites, ואת בוסמת בת אילון החיתי, another Canaanite. ותהיינה מורת רוח ליצחק ולרבקה, and they were very, very much a source of a lot of upset and bitterness for Yitzchak and Rivka. They didn't like the idea. Okay? Why? So many of the commentators are saying, it says so in Perush Yonatan ben Uziel. This commentary is like from the 1st century CE, because they were idol worshippers, and they did it in the open, and didn't stop doing it even after they married Esau. So Isaac and Rivka, they know that's a place we're not going, because he chose a road that's not our way. Okay? Remember that first verse in the story that we're talking about. Vayizaken Yitzchak, and immediately the next verse is the famous story. Vayiki zaken Yitzchak vatichena einav mirot. Isaac was very old, and he gave birth to them. He was 60. Now Esau is 40, so Isaac is now 100. Okay, so he couldn't see that much, and he calls Esau his older son. He was just born a few minutes before. Vayomer elav bni, he says, my son. He says, Hineni, here I am, my father. Vayomer hineni zakanti, I'm old, I don't know when I'm going to die. Now make food, go hunt, make food for me, and I will bless you before I die. Now, what the story is, Rivka hears that story. Now, she, not just that she likes Jacob and she knows that Esau is he's up to no good, she does not speak to him. She calls Jacob and she says, your brother is going to get the blessing from your father, and now you're going to fake as your brother and steal the blessing. And Jacob says, how could I do that? And Rivka is saying, you have to do it. That's my order. And if your father finds out and he curses you, the curse is on me. Okay? But a very not nice thing to do. It doesn't look nice. Talk to him. Tell your husband, Yitzchak, I don't understand. I don't think that you really see the picture. Why, you don't see? You're a prophet. You can't see that your son Esau is up to no good. He is a killer. He's a hunter. He married 2 idol worshippers. Didn't care about our opinion. It's like, what are you doing? What are you up to? But as we say, if you read the story, it makes it much easier to understand. Why? So the story is like this, that when Jacob brings the food to Isaac, and he doesn't say he's Esau, but he makes him believe that this is Esau. Okay? You can't see, he's blind. Okay? He gives him a blessing. And what is the blessing? And the blessing is like this. It starts with chapter 27 in Genesis, verse 27. Vayigash vayishak lo, and he approaches him, Jacob approaches Isaac, vayishak lo, he kisses him, vayarach et reach begadav kereach hasadeh, and he smells his clothes, vayivarcheu, and he blesses him, vayomer re'eh reach bni kereach hasadeh asher bechoshen. My son smells like the field that God blessed, which means the moment Jacob approached him, he smelled. Blind people, their sense of smelling is very, very much developed, and he is a prophet. And he smells the smell of Jacob, and he smells, all the commentators are saying, he smells the Garden of Eden. So he feels so good about it, and he gives him a blessing. Vayiten lecha Elohim mital hashamayim, and God will give you from the dew of the heaven and from the fat of the earth. This is one of the most famous blessings. Verov dagan v'tirosh, and a lot of grains and wine. Yavdu chamim, nations will work for you. V'ishtachavu lecha Elohim, and they will bow down to you. הבגביר לאחיך, you'll be a master for your brothers, וישתחוו לך בני אמך, and whoever curses you is cursed, whoever blesses you is blessed. That was it. That was a blessing. Jacob is leaving, okay? ויח יצא יעקב. As just Jacob leaves Isaac, his father, ועשיו אחיו, immediately, like in a soap opera, one comes out, wait and wait and wait. Immediately the other one is coming in, unless you have a commercial in between, right? But it's like a soap opera. That's how the principle is being invented over here. And then Esau is coming from the hunting, the real Esau. ויעש גם הוא מהתמים, he makes good food, he comes to his father and he says, יקום אבי ויאכל מצד בנו. Let my father raise up and eat from the hunting of his son. ויאמר לו יצחק אביו, מי אתה? And Yitzchak says to him, who are you? ויאמר אני בנך בכורך עשיו, I'm your firstborn Esau. ויחרד יצחק חרדה גדולה עד מאוד, and Yitzchak was shaken. A big, he was in shock. The word חרדה in Hebrew is anxiety, but here the way it's like the big anxiety. And what does it say? Says the Zohar on Parashat Toldot. Come and see. בשעה שנכנס עשיו, נכנס עמו גיהנום. As Esau came in, Gehenom, hell, purgatory, came in with him. And Isaac feels that. נבהל ונפחד, he got startled, he was shaken, he was afraid. כמו שכתוב, ויחרד יצחק, מהו עד מאוד? אלא שלא נפלו פחד ואימה גדולה כזאת על יצחק מיום שנברא. Fear and anxiety like this, he never experienced in his life. Even the moment he was bound on the altar and he realized he is the goat for the altar, for the sacrifice, he did not feel such scared. לא נזדעזע, he was not shaking like at that moment, שנכנס עשיו וראה גיהנום שנכנסים בו. And he saw the whole hell coming with him. Why? Remember, Esau was in the upper world. He didn't see physical stuff. He felt energies. He felt, relatively to what he felt from Jacob, that was heaven, that was hell. He said, like, what is that? And then what does he say? And he says, Vayomer, verse 33, chapter 27 in Genesis. Mi efo hu atzah tzayid vayavel li va'ochal. Who is the one who bring me the hunting and I ate? V'iterem tavo, before you came. Va'avarcheu gam baruch yeh. And I blessed him, and he is going to be blessed. Which means, Isaac, it does not say, who cheated me? I'm supposed to curse him. Right? He says, no, I blessed him. I'm still behind it. Because I knew there was heaven over there. Vayomer ba'achicha b'mirma vayikach bichatecha. Your brother came with cheatery and he took your blessing. Esau is upset. Vayomer, verse 36. And he said, Achi kara shmo Yaakov. Was it for nothing that he was called Yaakov? Vayakveni ze pa'amayim. He connived me twice already. He cheated me twice already. And bechorati lakar, he took my birthright. Just like if he took your birthright and you admit it, you're not supposed to get the blessing, right? Ve'ineh ata lakar birati, and now he took my blessing. Vayomar lo atzalta li bracha, give me a blessing. Vayan Yitzchak vayomer, so Yitzchak says to Esau, I gave him all the blessing. ויאמר עשיו אל אביו הברכה היא לך אבי, you have only one blessing, my father. And he cried bitterly. So Yitzchak gave him a blessing. Okay? Very sad story. You always side with the weak one, With Esau, the poor guy, he was cheated. ויסתום עשיו את יעקב, verse 41. And Esau was hating. But that's Vaistom, is like hatred with vengeance. Ala bracha, because of the blessing. And he said in his heart, when my father passes on, I will kill my brother. Rivka was a prophet. She knew that. Vayugad leRivka, verse 48 too. Vayugad leRivka. She knew it, that he's going to kill him. But Tikra lebna Yaakov, and so she calls Yaakov, and she says, I'm going to make your father send you to my brother. So you marry his daughter. And now we see that when she wants to talk with Yitzchak, and she wants to turn him around, she can do that. Why couldn't she do that in the beginning? Vatomer Rivka leYitzchak, and Rivka said to Yitzchak, I can't live seeing my daughters-in-law that Esau married. I'm afraid Yaakov is going to do the same thing. Send him to my brother. Let him marry his daughter. So Yitzchak is inviting Jacob. Let me give you a blessing. Listen carefully to the blessing. Chapter 28 in Genesis, verse 3. Ve'el Shaddai yivarech otcha, and the Lord will bless you. Ve'yafrecha, will make you multiply. Ve'yarbecha, va'ita likhal amim, will become a commonwealth of nations. Ve'iten lecha et birkat Avraham lecha ulezarecha itach, and will give you the blessing of Abraham to you and your seeds. Le'ishtecha et eretz megurecha, to inherit this land. Asher natan Elohim leAvraham, that God gave to Abraham. Just a second. When he thought that this is Esau, he didn't give him the blessing of Abraham. He didn't give him the blessing of the inheritance of the land, which means when he thought it is Esau, he didn't think for a moment that Esau is going to continue the line. He knew this is Jacob. Because otherwise he could have said to Jacob, I already gave you a blessing. Go. No. He kept the blessing for Jacob. He knew from the beginning. So why did he let them, Rivka and Yaakov, go through this, this story? And now to make the two brothers enemies. Okay? So we read from that Esau, from the beginning, he didn't care that much that Esau will marry somebody from the family, as we read in the previous parasha, that Abraham said, there's no way Isaac is going to marry somebody, a Canaanite. But here, Esau married a Canaanite. He was upset about it, but he didn't throw him out of the house. Here, with Jacob, it was different. You are carrying the torch. You can't do the same as your brother, because I know that you're carrying the torch. You're going to get the blessing of Abraham. You're going to get the land, the promised land. You are the one that Abraham and myself, we all worked for you, for Jacob. So what's the story? Who's against whom? It's like, if he knew, why Rivka didn't know? If he knew, why did Jacob have to cheat him? And if they were all such great prophets, why Isaac does not know this is Jacob? Why Jacob? Confused? It's like a soap opera. Now we need the Zohar to untie it. Okay? And it starts as follows. I'm reading the Zohar, Parashat Toldot, in Perush Sulam, verse 25 in the Sulam commentary of Rabbi Ashlag. ותרצו הבנים בקרבה. Okay? And we're talking about that verse, that the boys were breaking each other's head inside the womb already. They were fighting. Was it a fist fight? I don't know what it was, but it says Vaitotetsu, the word in Hebrew Vaitotetsu, it means they were breaking each other's head. It's like the word Vaitotetsu is a verb. You don't use it usually, but when you see a snake and you hit him on the head till you break his skull, that's called Vaitotetsu. You use that for snakes, for real stuff like this, not just for, you broke somebody's skull. You don't use this verb. Only for really, somebody is really like a snake. And we'll see. So as we said, that was, whoever forgot, it was chapter 25, verse 22. Okay, in the Torah. Now I'm reading in the Zohar. So it says she wanted to ask God, what's going on? What is this fight inside me? What did I do wrong? And it says that she went at that time to Shem. Shem was a level of prophecy, the son of Noach. He had his yeshiva, his academy. She went over there to ask, and he says to her, there are two nations inside you. Okay, what does it mean? Go away, says the Zohar. Come and see. זה עשיו, this one, Esau. היה מצד הרוכב על הנחש שהוא סמ"ם. He was riding from the side of the one who rides on the snake, which is the dark side. The dark side. וזה יעקב היה מצד הרוכב על הכיסא השלם הקדוש. And Jacob was from the other side, the one who rides on the throne, the holy throne. Okay? Come and see, verse 26. משום שעשיו נמשך אחר אותו הנחש, since Esau was drawn after the snake, that was his side, הלך יעקב עמו במרמה כמו נחש הוא ערום והוא הולך במרמה. Jacob had to be sneaky, and chittery, because that was the way of Esau. As it says, והנחש היה ערום, and the snake was sneaky. Okay? שפירושו, what does it mean? He was smart, but in chittery and lies. ומעלליו של יעקב עם עשיו היו לו כמו נחש. And the story of the dealings of Jacob with Esau is like dealing with a snake. וכך היה צריך, that's the way it was supposed to be. כדי להמשיך את עשיו אחר אותו נחש, so Esau goes after the snake, וייפרד and will split away from Jacob. ולא יהיה חלק עמו, so they don't share any common ground, not in this world and not in the world to come. ולמדנו הבא להורגך, and you should learn, whoever comes to kill you, you should kill him first, not to give him the other cheek. That's the basics. השכם אתה, kill him before he kills you. Okay? Now, let me explain that. Now, instead of having the story of a dysfunctional family, now we go to the Zohar to what the story is really about. And what is the story really about? We have the story of Abraham and Sarah to teach us that every person, in order to live, to be successful, to be creative, and to achieve his tikkun or her tikkun, which means to achieve our calling and to achieve what we need to become, we need to transform our desire to receive for the self alone into the desire to receive for the sake of sharing. Which means we need to achieve a functional state in which we really do what we need to do. Okay? For that, we need first to build in our consciousness, in our nature, that part that is called Abraham and Sarah, which is the part of chesed, loving and kindness. Without that, you're not a human being. If you don't have loving and kindness and mercy and compassion towards another human being, you're missing something. And there's no way you can achieve a correction, a tikkun, and a completion. You will never know who are you and what are you supposed to do in this world. And the Zohar is talking about it in this parasha. I just need to read that to all of us. In verse 3 in the Zohar, it says, כי כמו שגוף האדם מתחלק לאיברים, the same way that the body of a human being is divided into is made of many organs and functions, וכולם עובדים מדרגות על מדרגות המתקנות אלו על אלו, and each one of them represents different levels, different forces, or if you study Kabbalah, different sefirot. Okay, all of them are basically manifesting some forces that each of these functions in the human body is worthless if the others are not working. וכולן הם גוף אחד, and all of them together, they become one body. Which is, can you imagine your body without a heart, without a liver, without hearing, without sight, without taste? It's like, it's either you're dead or You know, you say you're an invalid. You know what's invalid? You're invalid. You're not valid. Something is, you have to be a whole in order to be valid. Ken Olam, the same way that the human body is made of many, many organs and functions, and all of them have to work in harmony. So the person is functional and is real, legit. The same way the whole world. Kol elu abriyot shebalam, all of these creatures in this world, all of them, kulan and evarim, they're basically like the different organs in the human body. So maybe, you know, if you talk about all of humanity and animals and plants and so on, so it's like cells in your body. And all the cells have to function normally in harmony with the others, so you feel what is called well-being and you can perform your calling, your job. וכאשר כולם יתוקנו, when all of them are going to achieve a tikkun, a correction, and completion, יהיו לגוף אחד ממש, and the only the only reason the world is malfunctioning is because people, each one of them, each one of us is not complete yet. How do we know? Says the Zohar, when we are complete, we'll be in, how do you know somebody is incomplete? Because it will become in harmony with with the people around us, with the creatures around us, not just people, animals, whatever, plants. When a person is whole inside himself, he will be a whole with his or her environment. והכל, and all of it, הן האדם והן העולם, the person and the world, הוא כדמיון התורה, it's like the Torah, like the image of the Torah. כי התורה כולה היא איברים מופרקים, the Torah is all divided of stories and organs, parts and chapters. ועומדים אלו על אלו, and they are connected one with each other, and you can't understand one without the others. וכאשר יתוקנו כולם, when all of them are well understood and fixed, יעשו לגוף אחד, then you get this aha, you can see the whole. כיוון שנסתכל דוד בעשייה זו, when King David saw that wholeness and everything comes together, פתח במה, he opened and said, another Psalms 104, yes, 104, כולם בחוכמה עשית. God, you made all of them in wisdom. מלאה את קנניך, the whole earth is yours. Okay? Now, how is that connected to what we're saying? Remember, we started with the story with the problem with the parasha, with the problem that already in the beginning, Jacob and Esau, they were fighting. Now, as we said, you need to have Abraham within yourself. You have to develop that part that is called Abraham, because without it, you cannot be a whole with no one. People who do not appreciate love, care, and share, they cannot be part of any real society or anything that is a whole. Is it a company? Is it a neighborhood? Is it whatever? A family. It's all built on loving and kindness and caring and sharing without any accountings. Also, when we started to learn about Isaac and then about Rivka, we learned that Isaac is a symbol for judgment. And we learned that the person cannot be just in chesed and grace and love. You need also to develop judgment, which means two things. One, to put boundaries. This is mine. This is not mine. This I can use. This I cannot use without asking for somebody's permission. Boundaries. And also, when somebody wants to take mine, what is mine, I can have to say, look, I'm sorry, but this is mine. He cannot take it. Okay? And, you find a way to do it with a little bit chesed, but you have to put the boundaries. That it's not like whoever wants to come and take whatever is mine. Okay, God said you should be loving and kind and give everything because just want it. No, it's mine, and you don't take it because it's mine. We also learn that the other side of that judgment is when it says that the angel of God says to Abraham, do not touch the land. It means You can bind the judgment. You can bind Isaac. You can bind the desire to receive. You can bind your passion and your wants and desires, but you cannot slaughter them. You cannot eliminate them. You cannot destroy them. You were given them, and you have to develop it because that's what it is. You have to do that. This is what it is about. So, if you understand that, it means that you have to be passionate about giving, but the same way you have to be passionate about receiving, because God created us to receive. But then comes the Torah and says this is not the whole game. After Adam, we said, after Adam and Eve committed the sin, there's another story. Death came to the world. And death means falling. Death means what is not right, what is not true. Death means cheating and lying. Death. And who is in charge after the sin of Adam? The snake. So now we need to learn in this parasha this week that there's another issue in our life, which is there's not just a soul that wants to be good and wants to be alive and wants to be loving and caring, whatever, but we have also another side to our personality, which is called the snake, which is called the evil inclination, which is called Esau, which is called the dark side. And that dark side in this world has the birthright, because this world was created because of the sin. And that means that if you look around and you ask, who is in charge? Who is in power in governments? Who is in power in bodies of political power or whatever, power of money, rulership, whatever? Who is in charge? Loving, kindness, awareness, spirituality, trust and belief in people? No. Whoever is in charge is greed, abuse, lies, and more lies, and more lies, right? That's the one in charge. It's in charge in democratic societies and in charge in dictatorship, much more, but it's in charge. It is in charge. It has the birthright. So when we hear about the birth of Jacob and Esau, we're talking about two sides. Two sides. Esau symbolizes one part of our personality, which is the body, which is selfishness, which is negativity, which is the snake, which all of us have those traits. One side is Jacob. And Jacob, this is the part in us which is tam, Yoshev Olim, which is complete. This is the soul. This is the part that knows the job. But after the sin, whoever is in charge is death. Whoever is in charge is negativity. And who's born first? When a baby is born, the first few years, this is a pretty selfish creature, right? Cares for nothing but himself. If they were not so cute, people will kill their children very easily. Okay? So nature created it. God made it that we will have this inbuilt passion to care for our little kids, although they're horrible in the beginning. They're horrible. They're selfish. They don't care about anyone, right? That's the way they are. And if you didn't have that trait of loving of your kids, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes people just do horrible stuff to their kids. Most people, luckily, they have this trait to care and protect their children. But as the time passes by, on your bar or bat mitzvah, you're supposed to get your good side, which is the Jacob. So who is the birthright? Esau. Who's the birthright in every country we know? Esau. Who has the birthright in every society we know? It's the politics, it's the egocentric people. That's the way it is. So we learn about it when there's famine, there's challenge, and Isaac is going to be with the Philistines, and he digs a well, and they cover it, and they block it, and then he digs a well. But Isaac was a tzaddik. He was a great light. How come it happened to him? Where is justice? Justice and truth are not in the rulership in this world. This is the challenge. And you have to learn that. And you'll have to learn that the whole world is made of different parts, and that's part of the picture. And that means that if you want to connect to Jacob, if you want to connect to Esau, no problem. You can join them because you can't win them, and you can be corrupt and negative and malicious as they are, and greedy as they are. No problem. But as I said, that's against the rules. You want to have the bliss of the Creator, you want to have the light of God in your life, you cannot be greedy, you cannot be selfish. It doesn't work. Simply doesn't work. It's against the rules. However, you will have the tendency, because we have a tikkun, we have to correct it. And in order to correct it, you have to uproot it. And you have to be wise to do it. And you have to be conniving as a snake. You have to be smart, as much more than a snake. You have to know few steps ahead how to treat the snake. And where's the snake? Where's Esau? Yeah, the people outside. Yes, you're right, you're positive, you're righteous, you're doing everything right, you have nothing wrong with you. Why do they do that to me? That's part of this world. To understand that this is part of the world and you want to achieve achievements, you have to go on, dig the wells, because you have to test your integrity. If you have integrity because it's comfortable, that's not integrity. Integrity, honesty, that has to be bought by a lot of effort. You need to create miracles in order to have it part of you in a way that is real. And that's why there are negative people around us all the time to be stumbling blocks, to put blocks on our way, so we can test, am I real or am I fake? Am I honest just because I want for everybody to clap their hands and say, oh, what a tzaddik, what an honest, great person? Or would I be like this even when it's not comfortable? When life is testing my real genuinity, authenticity. And that's why we have obstacles. Even when we think we are totally righteous. No, that is not a test. It's more than a test. That's like God is saying to us, now I want my child, I want you to perform a miracle. Now you do it, although it's not according to your interest. Because you have a covenant with me and not with your little tiny interest of your little physical needs. So that's the beginning. And that's also the end. Isaac is giving the blessing of the birthright to Esau. Why? Because he knows that in this world, Esau is the firstborn. He's in charge. Look around. It's 4,000 years later. Didn't change a lot. It did change. Okay? But still, people are still selfish. People are still Esauic. There's still, you see, Esau is born, and most people are still there with Esau most of their lives. And it's not them. It's us. And if you want to be, and if you can't just go around and tell people, you know, I'm authentic, I'm right, I'm honest, well, who cares? Who cares? You can't go with the truth. In this world, Esau has the birthright. You want the truth to be heard, you have to know how to cover it with wisdom. You have to learn how to bring the right ideas, because you cannot just come to people to say them, oh, you're not honest, you know this, you know this. It doesn't work. It doesn't work this way. I don't know if you know this, guys, but it doesn't work this way. You have to bring the point with wisdom. You have to be more wise than to be right. We're not here to be right. We're not here to be righteous. We're here to be the light. And to be the light is to turn things around till they become right, because you come with the preconditioning that most of the time people are not there to be honest. They're not there. then they don't want to listen how right you are and how honest you are because they don't care about it. You have to know that this is life. So what if people are wrong and I'm right? Doesn't it doesn't take away from you the responsibility to be the light, to be right, to be honest without demonstrating it to everyone. And that's as a in your family, with your friends, with at work. It's a hard, long work. It's very childish to say I'm right and the heck with them. It doesn't work this way. It doesn't work this way. We have always to make the work, to make it heard, but in a way that people can understand. And you know what? You can do it once and twice and third and fourth. And if you are sticking to your point, instead of like, I'm abused and I'm a victim and I'm honest and look about all of these wicked people around me. No, that's not what Isaac is doing, and his father didn't do it. It's just, okay, they destroy it, they start all over again. They destroy it, they start all over again. When? Why? Because the moment they see the light in him, because his reaction is different than what they expect, they want to join him. So he won. He didn't win because he's right. He won because he was stronger. And they felt that strength because he didn't give up. And same thing. Isaac is giving the blessing of the birthright to Esau. Because in this world for our tikkun, this is the condition. Jacob is stealing the blessing because that's how we have to do it. You have to steal the happiness, you have to steal the success, not by saying, I am such a tzaddik, I deserve everything, everybody should come and bring the money to me. No, you should do the work, you should be smart. You should know those people are not so righteous, they're not so honest, and still it doesn't give you any exemption. And that is very important for all of us. And that's the message of this parasha, because it says, Ele Toldot, Yitzchak. These are the offsprings of Yitzchak, because being the power of Gvura, it means judgment, but it means Gvura means Lidgaber, overcoming obstacles. And what if you have more than 7 obstacles? You'll overcome them also. Why? I'll finish with, there's a big story. I spoke about it many times. Over 2,000 years ago, there was two big schools in the Jewish world. One is school of Shammai and the school of Hillel. And Hillel was always kind of, what can we do? We have to hug everybody. We have to do things in a lenient way because that's practical. And Shammai was saying, no, we have to do it exactly the way it should be and no compromises. And usually, when there were discussion about which way you're supposed to go by, according to Jewish law, most of the times it's after Hillel, which is the more lenient. Why? Because you have to be practical, to do what's possible and not what's perfect. But then there was a question that was raised. And the question was it worthy for the human being to be born? For 2.5 years, they were arguing about it. And finally, after 2.5 years of arguments and philosophical questions, who's right, who's wrong, it wasn't about making somebody right or somebody wrong. They came out to the conclusion. You know what? It's better that humans were not created. Okay? Because if we were not created, we wouldn't even know about it. Now that we are here, we always have the opportunities to complain and to suffer and to be miserable, right? Okay? But then says the compromise, you know what? We agree. You say it's better humans were not, there's so much pain in the world. It's better humanity won't be created. You know what? You're right. But since you're already here, nothing is left to you, only just do your tikkun. Which means, you know what, I agree. But you don't want to get out of here? The only way to get out of here is to do your job. Very practical. Do your job. When you do your job right, this misery and the suffering and the death will stop from your life. And that's the only way. Let's get practical. And that's what Judaism is about. That's what the Torah is about. It's about getting practical. Going around and complaining, everybody can do that. It's very easy. It costs nothing. Nothing. But doing the job and overcoming one obstacle after another and being honest with yourself and being authentic with yourself and keeping the covenant with the light of the Creator. This is not easy. But not just it's not easy, you have to do it smart. You can't just walk with somebody and always say, oh, but you are this and you're this. And by the way, you don't have any Esau with you. You don't have any snakes with you. We all have that. You see it with somebody else. You have it inside you. And you have to remember the two sides needs a place. In the same way, Jacob means also to cheat, is coming, and it says, the moment Isaac saw Jacob, he said, oh, he's smart enough to do the job. Esau has the blessing of power in this world, who are the richest people, the richest companies in the world, the richest nations in the world. They're not nice, they're not honest, they're not for the love of God. Oh, it's all about interests. Everybody knows that, right? Everybody knows that. It's about being smart enough that in a world that is so not right, not honest, and you know what? You'll be successful if you stick to your honesty and you stick to the Creator and you stick to these rules that you have Abraham, the Chesed, you have Isaac, the Gvurah, the judgment, and you have Jacob, the ability to turn everything, to condition every desire for receiving for the self alone, and to find a way to turn into sharing. And you have to fight Esau inside yourself, at home, working place, everywhere. Everywhere. That's the giving. And now, you have no authority to give up. You just fight till you do it right. And that's the only way out. And this is a big message of this parasha. And that's why, Toldot, you want to have fruits to your doing. These are the rules. Stick to that. As you see fruits, and you see that whatever you work on, you'll see the results, good results, and you'll be successful. Success and happiness to everyone. Thank you so much, and Shavua Tov.